Hello, welcome to Milo on the Ready. Um, if it looks like I'm wearing the same clothes as I was last time, it's because I only have a few days during the week in which I can uh, do any filming. So I get 2 or 3 videos done at a time. So that's why that is. There's been a lot of talk about storing food, saving food, preserving food, and I think everybody should be doing that. One of the things that we're doing, and I'm going to be running it at least once or twice a week, is my dehydrator. It's quite surprising how much money you can save by dehydrating. I have a Nesco Professional dehydrator. I got it from a coworker because he wanted some pieces out of it, but I got the full dehydrator with 5 trays. So I didn't pay anything for it. He just gave it to me because he no longer needed the dehydrator portion of it. I looked them up. You can get them for under $100. So it is a worthwhile investment. Um, I can go out and get fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, anything that can be dehydrated. I can go get that relatively inexpensive right now. And I wanted to show you some of what I was doing with it over the weekend, so that you get some idea of what you can do with a dehydrator. So let me go over everything with you. So here we have the first picture. These are some sweet potatoes I bought from one of the local markets here. And that is just a regular paring knife that's in front of them, just to give you an idea of how big these sweet potatoes actually were. I think I paid right around $2.50. I paid under $3 for these 2 very large sweet potatoes, 89 cents a pound. So it was a good test for doing sweet potatoes, which I've never done before. One of the things they say to do is bake them first, then peel them, dice them. But with the size of these, I didn't want to be sitting there waiting for them to bake all day, so I chose to peel and dice them before baking them. Okay, so here's the second picture. I've got all of the sweet potatoes diced up and on the baking sheet, and as you can see, it filled the baking sheet that I have here. So this is prior to baking them, which I've got the oven preheated and ready to go, and preparing for the baking portion of this. And as you can see, here are the sweet potatoes after they're done baking. They didn't lose a whole lot of size during the baking process, which I was glad about. They did stick. I should have checked them a little bit more often, but so they did stick to the aluminum foil a little bit. I'm sure that if I checked them more often, I could have avoided that. But for a first time, I think it turned out quite well. And then, of course, here they are. I placed them into the trays of the dehydrator itself. I got it set for about 130 to 140 degrees, which is recommended on the machine for dehydrating vegetables. As you can see, there's a lot of space in between everything. I only did the 2 sweet potatoes. I should have done 3 because I only filled up about 3.5 of the 5 trays that I have in the dehydrator itself. So that's something to consider for next time when I do this. And here we have what they look like after dehydrating. They did shrink quite a bit from the dehydration process, getting all of the moisture out of them. They recommend 10 hours at least. And from when I start them, that's usually about sometime in the middle of the night, so I always let them go until the next morning, and it doesn't really I haven't had any bad effects from doing that yet. But yeah, I could have done more, but for a first time with the sweet potatoes, I think they actually turned out quite well. And here I have them all of the sweet potatoes in a quart mason jar. So as you can see from the size that they originally started with, which one of them was about the size of a quart mason jar, you can see that I've got them all into the jar now with some extra space for the next batch of sweet potatoes that I do. I do believe that if I had the third sweet potato that was the same size as the others, that jar would have been completely filled at this point. But I can deal with this. I'll just add to it the next time I do some dehydrating.
So as you can see from there, dehydrating is a great way of storing food. You just have to remember that, if you're ever going to use them, you need to rehydrate before using them. So water is definitely a must. But as you can see, it took, those two very large sweet potatoes and reduced them to 2/3 of a quart mason jar. And it really does help add to your prepper pantry. There's a lot of things that can be dehydrated, which definitely does reduce their size and allows you to stack more in your prepper pantry of an item as opposed to, say, cans. One of the things that I do, since corn, I don't have any way of really getting it off of the cob, I usually actually tend to dehydrate canned corn. And I'll dehydrate 5 or 6 cans at a time. And by the time they're done dehydrating, pardon me, they take up the space of about 1 can. So it just really is a way to reduce the amount of space you're using for something so that you can actually store more of something. 6 cans of corn take up quite a bit of space. 1 can, does take up some space, but if you have the same quantity as 6 cans in that one space, you're very much better off. So it's really something to think about. The investment of a dehydrator pays for itself, actually very soon. And like I said, I'm going to have my dehydrator running at least a couple times a week now, just so that I can actually take low-cost fruits, vegetables, and get them dehydrated so they take up a lot less space, fill up my pantry, and in knowing that I'm not buying pre-processed items contain chemicals or anything like that. It's going to be nutritious, wholly nutritious food when I go to use them. So, hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you for watching today, and stay safe. Stay safe out there. Have a great day.